Friends, welcome to the weekly wrap. It felt like as the weather was warming, we were coming out of a long slump on the market. Things were better outside and things were better on the screens. However, just when we were getting confident again, the market started to fall. And there's been a few bad news items on the market again. There have been a few movers, and while we haven't given up completely, we are still cautious. It's very hard at the moment because as soon as you get positive, something changes overseas and brings in negativity. People want more certainty on rates. Inflation is still very high here, and spending pressures on families is immense. Now, we've been working on a few different things here. As you've probably seen, we did a nice interview with my main man, Chris Judd, Carlton legend. Let's just take a look at that. And we are working on a convertible note in Ignite Equity. If you're not signed up to Ignite Equity, you should. Send us an email and we'll get you on. All right, let's take a look at the screens. On the platform this week, we had quite a lot of offers. PAM went out to raise $1.5 million at 8.5 cents. We'll look at that shortly. Macquarie issued some capital notes. Basically, these are where Macquarie promises investors that they'll get whatever the interest rate is, the bank bill, plus 2.6%. So investors will probably start earning about 7.5% on these notes, and it's a bit of a risk reward play there where the risk is higher than term deposits, but you get a higher return. AMM Armada Metals raised $1 million at a cent. Grand Gulf, they have become a bit of a serial raiser. I think it's now about 2 or 3 a year, each time at a low price. So obviously the company is not going great, but they, I think it was pretty much oversubscribed, and I guess that's because the price was so cheap. We'll look at PAM shortly, as we said, but they lowered their price to 7.2. AMD, another serial raiser. I got caught holding that one. They raised at 2.22. They raised $4 million, and yeah, it's hard to buy these shares when they keep raising capital because each time it's at a low price. SRG, very popular here. I didn't look into it too closely, but we had a lot of interest and it was only at a 4% discount. T92, well done to Peak Asset Management and my mate Nivi, raised $1 million there at 7 cents a share. Let's take a look at the screen. Now, we'll start off by looking at PAM. We can see here they are trading at 9.6, but as we said, they had to reprice the placement. Now, this stock confuses me because every raise they've done, the chairman, Paul, keeps putting in money, and every raise has been at a low price. You usually trust the board and chairman and follow their money in, but in this case, as we can see, obviously Paul must be finding it really frustrated because the market is not believing the story. This one was over 45 cents 2 years ago, and it's just been down and down. So yeah, it would be great to see this one turn around, but yeah, I guess for me, I'd like to see the next raise at a higher price. All right, let's take a look at movers. RDN, they had a massive run. They moved up almost 50% in a day or two. It's back down a little bit today. But RDN is one of those stocks that moves quite a bit pretty quickly. Now, they did make an announcement yesterday. It wasn't market sensitive, but the day before, they did receive approvals and their drilling on their lithium project is going to start. Now, there was a bit of action in lithium again. It wasn't sustained, but on Wednesday, there was a lot of volume going back into these small lithium companies. Last week, we spoke about Gallon, GLN. They received a takeover offer. It may have even been the week before, but all these lithium companies, people are just waiting. We're just waiting for their move. We can see that at the moment, some of them, the more popular, smaller ones, have maybe bottomed out, maybe. I'm not calling it yet, but there was quite a bit of buying this week, but today it's been met with selling. Another big mover this week was Sun Silver SS1. Now, this one is a new IPO. They haven't been listed for too long, but it has been a really good IPO, and it went as high as 70 cents after listing and was recently as low as 40. But this week they did announce an extension of their hole, which had quite a bit of silver in it. So yeah, people got pretty excited with that, and yeah, it kept going up. Now DUN was pretty interesting because they went up a lot on some high grade gold intercepts on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then straight after that they announced a placement at I think 4.3. Now they did have a shortfall from a recent rights issue, but they thought they could get a higher price, which they did. So things worked out pretty well for Dundas, and it's looking even better for investors that have taken up their rights issue and those that are taking the placement. So yeah, Dundas has got a very low market cap. It's still 4 million. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Now, there was some bad news this morning out for a company, Redflow. So they have gone into voluntary administration. Now, you'd think a company with the market size is still 25 million could go and raise money, but obviously not. And that's a risk that we play with a lot of these stocks. They run out of money, and as we can see here, that they require significant capital. So I guess one good thing by them is they didn't go out and do a small placement, which they probably could have. Instead, they're going to do a proper strategic review and see if they can raise significant capital, but it's not looking great for Redflow, and I do feel for investors there because yeah, usually you'd prefer a slow exit with giving you the time to get out, but obviously that wasn't to be. Let's take a look at ACW, an old favorite of mine. They announced some results which weren't that good, and they've fallen all the way back down. They were a great performer up until this, but yeah, that's also the risk with biotechs. Let's just finish off with some positivity. SER. Now, this one has gone up quite a bit since the placement. They did raise money at 1.2 about 2 months ago. And could this be the turning point for SER? Because they've been a big struggler. I do remember in our first year of 180 Markets, we raised money. Our first lead manager role was for SER all the way over here. Investors made great money, as a lot of investors did in this time period. But since then, it's been hard work for SER, and yeah, hopefully things have turned around. All right, off to you, Greg.
Thanks, Sean. And investors, we are trying a different format here with Sean going first. Let us know if you like it, want something changed, or whatever your thoughts are. We're here and we do take on feedback seriously. Now, it was a fairly quiet week on the markets, not a whole lot of action, and it's due to a few factors, which is firstly, seasonality. It tends to be slow right now this time of year. Second, investors are waiting for some more certainty around interest rates. And finally, you have an election cycle coming up in the Northern Hemisphere in the not too distant future. But one sector that is shining is biotech. And the reason why is because investors can find individual companies that have individual catalysts that somewhat control their own destiny, and that is attracting money. And the other sector that is just starting to form what potentially could be a bottom is lithium. That's right. Now, these share prices have really been pummeled, so it's not surprising to see somewhat of a counter trend. But it is worth watching, and again, very early days. And with that, have a great weekend, do more research, and enjoy.